Let's see. Look, my head's chopped off. Should do it. Good morning, Armor Down. Day 2 of week 1. So, 2 rules or 2 steps for using your senses for safety. That's the title of today. And so the objective of today is to emphasize these 2 rules because the 2 rules establish this beginning foundation, our guiding principle for establishing not just a safe space, which is our goal by Friday, but safety in general around firearms. So yesterday I gave you an example of what not to do, how to be mindless with a firearm. And today what I want to show you are the 2 steps to be mindful with the firearm when you first approach it. And I'll start that with a kind of just a funny story about how I wasn't mindful and looked like an idiot in front of a business colleague. So I've got a colleague and friend, this guy named Joe Hamilton, and he's just the coolest guy. He's got 3 Purple Hearts. He's a military guy, but he also is a scientist, and he's a scientist in the realm of firearms. So he's the best of the best. So he interacts with a lot of firearms, and he's given firearms to study. He's given firearms to train with. He's just the man. Anyway, we were at his old place, and he was showing me his gun safe, and in it were some really beautiful weapons. And so he showed me this one weapon, and he handed it to me, and I went, "Oh, whoa, this is so cool. Man, this is amazing." And I lost all awareness of the present moment. I was like in my emotions of awe and wonder, and I was like, so I didn't follow any of the safety rules. And he looks at me like, because he's seen me do it correctly 1,000 times, but he looks at me and he's just like, this is what you need to do. He takes the magazine out, he racks it, he shows me this unloaded, and then he hands it to me. He expected me to do those things, but because I was all like, ooh, goo, wow, I wasn't present. I was in my feelings, okay? So the first 2 things to keep in mind for safety, and we're gonna apply this every time forever. So these 2 steps are always going to be present in the training. The first rule is focusing on the present moment. And lots of things can pull you away from the present moment. What I just described was awe and wonder. I showed that yesterday. Oh, look, this cool gun. Ooh. It's all in awe and wonder, especially around firearms. So the first thing is to become present. Now, in a ooh-ah setting, the easy thing about firearms and why the warrior community connects to this so readily is that that's a deadly weapon. It's deadly if it's mishandled properly. It's not deadly like this, but it's deadly if it's mishandled properly. And because that potential is there, you always focus in on the present moment, because if you don't, there's the chance for a deadly mistake. So it's very easy in the marksmanship context to point out present tense focus, because if you're not present with the firearm, it could kill you. That's easy. But the second thing is, so step 1 is presence. Step 2 is, well, how do you know that it's safe? Well, the way you know is by using your senses themselves. So one way to use your senses is the second you handle the weapon, you feel the weight of it. So you feel how heavy it is. So that's using your sense of touch. Second, you go through the steps to make sure this thing's not loaded. Because remember, you're assuming it's loaded. So safety is your number 1 priority. So you take that magazine out. Then you rack it. Then you look. So your sense of sight. You look down the chamber, you look inside the magazine well. So that's your sense of sight. So sense of sight. Now sense of touch again. You use your finger. You literally go in there and touch to make sure that there's no round in there. You touch. You use your sense of touch. So sense of sight, sense of touch. We're going to use more with your senses with regards to mindfulness and meditation, but it's the same premise. My senses are telling me that this weapon is unloaded. I looked, I touched. There is nothing now, not a single thing about this weapon that's dangerous. Nothing. Not a thing. Now, you get into the conversation with someone, guns are dangerous, da 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 da. This gun is a paperweight. This gun has no danger to it whatsoever. I could throw it, I could drop it. This will never shoot a bullet right now, ever. So the ooh and ah of someone like me who looks at a weapon like ooh and ah, wow, is the same kind of thing as someone who's like, that gun's dangerous no matter what. It's not grounded in the moment. It's not grounded in the reality. The reality right now, and I checked it by my senses, is that this weapon is absolutely inert. It can't do anything. Best thing to use it for is a paperweight. Nonetheless, the way I figured that out, I didn't come to this conclusion by guessing. I came to this conclusion by feel and sight. So when you interact with safety, okay, in this context, what you're doing is you're creating a safe space, but you're also checking it with your senses. That's the key, right? You're checking it. It's not wishful thinking. It's not in your imagination. It's not ooh and ah. It's, I've checked with my senses that it's fine. You'll see this more in the context of mindfulness on Friday when we go into the actual kind of first step of what I'm going to introduce to as the 4 bells. But in the context of firearms, you know a weapon is safe, one, because you're focused on it. You check it with your sight. You check it with your touch. You know it's safe because your senses have told you. So let's wrap it up. The 2 steps today that I want you to focus on, and I want you to keep in mind. Step 1 is becoming present. Okay, present is right here, right now, not off in some thought process, not off in ooh and ah. Presence, okay? Step 2, senses. This is safe not because I imagine it's safe, but because I've used my senses. My senses have told me it's safe, okay? Using the senses, all right? That's all I want you to take with you from today. There'll be more tomorrow. Thank you for the comments I've received from people on the videos. Keep them coming. It is rocket fuel for me. It is rocket fuel. The more y'all interact with me, the more I'm excited to interact with you. And no one else is doing this stuff. No one else is talking about the relationship between marksmanship and mindfulness for veterans. So we are first to the field. We've been first to the field. We're going to stay first to the field. We got the best stuff. Armor Down is the best when it comes to mindfulness meditation for the warrior community, and to create a bridge between that warrior community and the non-warrior community. So keep them coming, keep watching, and it's going to be an awesome year of streaming. So with that, go get some coffee.